So last year, Rob Zombie's brother Spider-One from Power Man 5000 made a movie called Allegoria, and Kaylee and I both quite enjoyed it.
Yes.
Kaylee was really big on it, and I quite enjoyed it. So we were pretty excited to hear that Tubi had an original from him. This is his sophomore effort after Allegoria, and I was like, okay, like this is kind of a make or break moment because a lot of people can make a decent flick the first time, but it's always that sophomore effort that makes you go, okay, do they have staying power? Can they make a splash, right? Like the first film's always kind of the tester, the lower budgeted Reservoir Dogs, El Mariachi, Clerks. Everybody gets that, following. I can name all the freaking original Absentia for freaking Mike Flanagan. Everybody gets that kind of first film, even with Rob Zombie, right? With House of a Thousand Corpses, and then he followed it up with the much better Devil's Rejects. Now, of course, that's for debate for a lot of people, but I think that Devil's Rejects is a much better film. It shows off his talents much, much better because he has a bigger budget and he's more confident. So here we go with Bury the Bride, starring Scout Taylor Compton, who, of course, is connected to his brother, who played Laurie Strode in the Halloween movies that Rob Zombie directed. So they're keeping it all in the family.
Yep.
And the premise of this film is Scout Taylor Compton's character is getting married, and she is taking her sister and her friends out to this random house that her fiance owns, that's kind of like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a bachelorette party, but none of them have ever met her husband-to-be. And whilst they're out there hanging out and having a good time, sort of, they are then intruded upon, surprised by her fiance and his merry band of assholes.
Yep.
And from there, things go south, and eventually this reveals itself to be a specific subgenre that I will not spoil, even though I would not recommend this to my worst enemy. This film is horrendously awful, and I was shocked at the dip in quality. I should say drop, because it dropped off a cliff.
Yeah.
So, how'd you feel about this one, Kaylee?
I really hated this movie a lot. Yeah. And I was just super disappointed because, as you said, like, I really enjoyed Allegoria. Like, I thought that was such a cool, unique film, and it had so much, like, character, and I don't know, I was really into it, and so...
It felt unique.
Like, I liked it. I really liked it, and it worked for me. But this... I just feel like it was super uninspired.
Yeah.
I feel like the writing was really awful. I think that I didn't like the chemistry between anybody in the film. I didn't like the cinematography. Like, I didn't like what ends up being the, like, subgenre reveal. Like, I don't like how that was handled at all. It was just bad. Like, I feel like the tone was all over the place. I kept telling you that I feel like it was maybe trying to go for this, like, dark comedy at times that just was not working for me. No. And I also thought the acting was really bad, and that sucks too, because like we've watched things with Scout Taylor Compton before that, you know, she's good in, but in this I think that maybe, I don't know, I think maybe a lot has to do with the acting and then, or the writing and the directing, you know, and just not using the actors as well as they could have been. So yeah, I didn't like it.
Everything in this film is extremely poor. I mean, legitimately, I think that, as Kaylee said, the best word I can possibly use for this film is uninspired. There's just nothing going for this film in any way, shape, or form. And there's so many flubs and breakdowns of logic and just things that make you scratch your head. And, you know, this is going to be spoilery territory at this point, just because I want to mention a couple things that happen in the film that are just so beyond comprehension. I kept looking over at Kaylee and asking questions, being like, how is this? Like, This isn't spoilery, so if you want to avoid spoilers, and then you can shut it off after this. But like for instance, we have one scene where it literally is like nighttime, then the next scene is daytime, then they're running out of the house, and then it's pitch black outside when they're still running.
It makes no sense
You're like,
that they're supposed to be running for 12
fuck?
hours or
Like,
something.
what's happening here? And they're still on the property when they're
It's
running.
so weird. It's such a weird cut. Like, I think it's supposed to be like sunset-ish. But even that, like,
but how did it get to sunset?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Even if you were starting to run at sunset, by the time it was pitch black, because it is completely dark, like completely, it would be at least an hour from sunset to complete blackness. There's a grace period of time where the sun doesn't completely go down, but like we literally go from night, next scene in a barn, day. Next scene, they're running from that barn outside, and it is completely pitch black dark. Yeah. It makes zero sense timeline-wise. Yeah. You're like, what the fuck is happening here?
I know.
So there's stuff like that. There's a bear trap scene.
Oh my god.
That makes beyond zero sense. Yeah. So this is running into some spoiler territory, so you can shut it off if you don't want to see it. If you want to see it for yourself and avoid spoilers, please don't watch it. It's horrendous. It's even for free on Tubi, it's not worth your time. So let me just spoil this for you. So stick around. But so they decide, after getting into a hot tub and leaving the gun under some tarp instead of taking it in there with them, because they're worried that there's going to get water in it, even though the water only comes up to like here, so they could have taken it in there with them and not gotten water on it. We showed before when they opened it up that the thing only had like this much water in it. So if they just held it in their lap, I mean, we see them completely out of the water the whole time. So I don't know what the point is of even taking the shotgun away. Like, you don't want to give that weapon up. No. Regardless, they get out of there, and then they decide, like, I'm going to go and get weapons. This reminds me of my daughter when she was trying to make, we got to get weapons, guys. So they go to get weapons, and one of the weapons is a bear trap, which she springs, right? Because it's already been sprung, right? So she re-springs it, and so she pushes it down. So all you got to do is just plop it down, right?
It takes the two of them to open it, but they still do it in pretty quick time.
With their normal female human strength, they're able to open it, the two of them. So then they put the trap down, and she stakes it into the ground. And conveniently, one of the vampires, who I'm assuming was already watching them, runs into this trap very, very conveniently. Yeah. I know I already said convenient, but this is beyond. This is convenience 2 times over, so it needs to be mentioned twice. He steps into this thing, and then not only does he not get out of it, which he's a hunter. This is their tools. Because the other vampire friend who's there, he's like, hey, you need me to get you out of that thing? Oh my God. And it's like, no, he doesn't. He's superhuman. Yeah. So he has superhuman strength. Yeah. So even if this thing had some mechanism which took 2 guys to open or whatever, he is 2 guys. He's 10 guys. He should be able to break this thing anyway. Yeah. So not only can he not get out of this thing for fucking God knows why. I have no clue. The reason a bear can't get out of it is because he doesn't have hands. He doesn't have opposable thumbs. He can't grab on. He doesn't know how to understand how the fucking thing works. Yeah. So he doesn't go and bend it back down and then get his foot out of it, as anybody could, especially if they're a fucking superhuman vampire. Yes. But anyways, not only can he not get out of it to the point where he literally lays there in the sun till he dies, but in addition to that, once he steps into the trap, he then, from that moment, for the rest of the film, is, even though they're right in the vicinity of him, he's within 10 feet of them for the rest of the movie, he never makes a noise. No. He's never a threat anymore. He's getting completely isolated. It's like the bear trap closed over his mouth and also like severed nerves to his body being able to move, because he is completely immobile and completely silent. Yeah. He doesn't scream. He doesn't do anything. He's not trying to get out of it. He just sits there and watches as his friend takes on this girl. Then he kills the fiance, kills Scout Taylor Compton, rips her heart out, and then the sister runs at him with an axe, and she just sticks it right into his neck.
Oh my god.
Doesn't even react. He just sits there and and he's like, oh! And I'm like, spoilers, you're a vampire!
Yes.
You're a fucking vampire. I think I already said vampire before, but I already said spoilers.
Come on.
What, dude? You can't move.
Dude.
You can't move. You can't block it. You can't do anything. What?
Edward Cullen is a more competent vampire by like miles than this guy.
Dude.
I hated everything to do with like the vampire aspect of this. Like, I really didn't like the dialogue, like whatever, like biblical, like scripture passages or whatever that the fiance was like shouting. Like, I just didn't understand or care, and like I hated it. I felt like it was way too, like, it was just lame. I don't know. I think it was like over the top unnecessarily. Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't have stopped her running at him with an axe. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
There's so many illogical choices in this movie. Not only with like the writing and everything, but like the characters in general, where you're like, this is the kind of movie, and I do feel like there are directors that don't even respect the genre they seem to love, where they're like, well, it's a horror movie. People make stupid decisions.
Right.
And like, that's part, fuck you with that. That is no. I'm sorry. If you're making a parody, maybe. If you're making a film in the 80s before these tropes came into view and all that, and you're on a lot of cocaine, maybe you have some kind of excuse. But in modern times, you need to respect the genre more and stop with this whole like notion of characters in horror movies are dumb and that's just part of the charm of the films. And maybe Kaylee's right. Maybe there is some kind of dark humor at play here. But let's get something completely straight with this. There is a character in this who's the smart one.
Oh my
She's
God.
the intelligent one of the group, right?
Yeah.
So they got the ditzy blonde, bimbo girl, right? They got all the archetypes of the past. And with this one, she's the brains of the operation. And the bimbo girl goes out with the guys very stupidly, but she's the bimbo character, so this is to be expected because we're supposed to swallow that all characters are morons, and that's just part of horror because we're all dolts, and that's how it goes. Lowest common denominator entertainment here for us. As I said, speaking down to your audience and the genre you seem to love, but regardless, okay, it's some kind of parody or metaphor for the genre. I don't know, whatever. Homage. But the smart one of the group, the guys come back minus the girl they left with.
Yeah.
One of them is covered in blood.
Yeah.
And then she demands to be taken to her by herself.
Yeah, alone.
Alone with the guys who may or may not have just killed her friend. Take me to the body right now. I want to see where she is. You take me to her right now. And she goes off alone in a truck in the middle of the night and in the middle of nowhere with guys she doesn't know who came back covered in blood.
There's just no way. I just don't buy it. I don't buy that.
Don't buy it? It's beyond not buying.
Like, yeah, it is. It's just so unbelievable that anybody would do that, especially somebody that's supposed to be like an intelligent person. Like, there's just no way. There's no way. And I know that she, like, I guess that character is supposed to kind of have a thing for the ditzy one or for the, like, the sexy one. I think that they were sort of setting that up, like, because, I don't know.
She's got, like, a crush on her?
She's got, like, a crush on her, so she was, like, really, like, one. But, like, even still, there's no way that she would have done that. And
no. Absolutely not.
Just, no. And the whole, like, everything with, like, the sisters and stuff, like, I didn't like the chemistry between anybody in this. Like, you had said, like, that the friend group kind of had, like, a superficial type of friend feel to you.
Yeah.
Which I can see, but for me, it didn't work. I did not buy that any of them, like, I didn't believe any of the relationship dynamics between them. So I could care less about the whole, like, sister dynamic and bond.
Yep.
And the ending, too, is also confusing because
the ending makes no fucking sense at all.
We don't know
Zero
why.
sense.
So the girl that's turned first, that's like sexy, like why she would kill her friend.
No clue.
When she's like aware and has control.
Yep.
Like even if she's super hungry, they don't set it up like, oh, newborns. Like she's not freaking Bella. Like they don't set it up like that. Although maybe that's supposed to be like implied, like a new vampire.
You mean Nessie?
Gonna be. Oh God.
You nicknamed my kid after the Loch Ness Monster.
But I don't know why she would kill her friend. But she kills her and then apparently buries her because she comes back as a vampire. And then the other girl, the smart girl that's killed, he, I guess, buries her. The only thing that I can imagine is that the sister that survives went around and gathered everybody's body and buried them. That would make the most sense. And I guess that is what happens, but... Why
the bimbo attacks the one girl is... I have no idea. There's no... Because Puppy, the guy who gets shot in the face by the sister, is like... Even I don't know what to make of this guy. I think he's lying.
I do too.
I don't know. And they do this thing where the sun does burn them, but it takes a longer amount of time. They have to like basically bake out in it.
Yeah.
But regardless, he's like, oh, they command me and I got to do what they do. But like he was antagonizing them and doing things away from them. He was alone with them in the barn just 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And he was like antagonizing them and being like, oh God, the cross, oh, ha ha ha, the cross doesn't work on me. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, like
and he doesn't talk, but then he talks, which is fine. But like he tries to play it. I don't really give a shit. The point being is that Puppy shows that he has free will.
Yeah.
And that he has the ability to talk and do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And the friend just got killed. And then she kills her friend for
like,
no reason at all. But you're right. Maybe it's just right when you turn, you're too thirsty to hold back, so you gotta kill whatever.
That's the only thing I can
multiple friends were not buried.
No.
And maybe they were off screen. Maybe they were off screen.
They were all off screen somehow.
That being said, in all lore, now the lore's changed up a little bit here, but... He rips her heart out of her chest. Yeah. Does not bite her in any way, shape, or form. He scratches her across the chest, so maybe it's in the claws. But typically, in all vampire lore I've ever seen, in order to turn someone, you have to drink from them, and then they have to drink from you.
Yeah.
And that is how you become a vampire. In this, you have to be buried in addition to that, like Pet Sematary. But
I think, at the very least, you have to be bitten.
You have to be bitten.
The fangs
I would
have
assume
the poison in them.
It's the point. Yes, it's the fangs.
Yeah.
But it's made up anyways.
It is.
I just thought like the fact that she doesn't get bitten.
Yeah.
The friend buries her, not the vampires.
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters who buries her, but she has to be buried.
He tells them that they need to bury her and she'll come back.
That's fine. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But regardless, it's the teeth.
Yeah.
To me, I guess the scratch works, and then the other girls had to be buried off screen.
But it is,
so maybe that all works.
Like
you can fudge it to make it work.
I don't understand, but you're right though, because like the fact that she's missing her heart, like he reacts to, she cuts his head, like she doesn't even cut his head off all the way. She just
she does.
But she does. I mean, but like initially, she just puts an axe in there and then he falls over, and like maybe he's not dead then, maybe he's just like passed out. But it's like I think it kills him, and then she cuts his head off. I don't know.
Well, the other dude gets shot through the head, and he dies.
Right.
Right. The one chick shoots him.
Doesn't have a heart.
Which I thought when he got shot.
Yeah.
Right. When he gets shot, I was like, oh, they don't really react to it.
Yeah.
To her shooting him.
Like he's going to come back.
And I'm like, oh, he's going to come back, and he never does.
Yeah.
And then Puppy gets shot in the face, and he also never comes back. And then the other guy gets his head cut off, and then this other guy bakes in the sun because he can't figure out how to use a bear trap.
Dude.
So, like, I don't understand how... Yeah, you're right. I thought the same thing. I don't understand how Scout Taylor Compton has no heart and lives.
And can come back.
When you get shot through the brain and you die. So you can live without a heart...
So they're
but
like
you can't live without a brain?
Basically?
Like with a little damage to your brain, you're dead. But with no heart, you're fine.
They're zombies, then. They're like zombie vampires.
I guess.
But I guess it is more about like the land, like being buried. Honestly, I don't know. We're spending so much time on this movie.
We're done.
And I hated it, and I don't think you should watch it. But sometimes we do these reviews, and I feel like people are going to watch it because they just want to know what we're talking about. And...
No.
Just don't.
No. Please explain to me. Spider-1... Scout Taylor Compton, anyone who worked on this film, can you explain to me, a hunter, anybody, can you explain to me, could a vampire who has a bear trap on his leg, could you not get out of that?
Yeah, why can't he get out of it?
Is he not able to get out of that? He doesn't even try. He's kind of like, well, I got a bear trap on my leg. I'm just screwed. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet while they do their little monologues.
Yeah.
Like, he makes no noise. He makes no effort to get out. There's a little stake in the ground that she hammered in with a stone. He couldn't have pulled that up out of the ground with his superhuman strength and walked around with the bear trap on his leg. At the very least, if he couldn't somehow get it off.
Yeah.
Explain to me. Please make it make sense to me. This is what I want to know. The bear trap thing. Can you not get a bear trap off your leg as a superhuman vampire? Even if you're not. Even if you're just a human. If you were strong enough, could you pull the bear trap open? You could, right? You wouldn't need 2 people unless you weren't strong enough, but he's a fucking vampire. He's definitely strong enough. So is there something I'm missing? Is there some mechanism that... It's right here, though. The housing is all in one area. Like, what's the other guy going to be able to get to that this guy can't get to?
Nothing.
There's some button or mechanism that he can't activate?
It's all there, right?
You just pull it back open.
Yeah.
Once it collapses, you have to then pull it back open, pull the leg out, and then it closes again, or like reset it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just tension.
Yeah.
That's all that's holding it.
Yeah. That's
so why can't the vampire get out of the bear trap? This is the writing that you came up with? You actually took a bear trap and were like, oh, that'll work. Like, it would make sense if it went on his leg and then she took the axe while he was, like, fidgeting with it and cut his head off.
Sure.
That would have made sense because he was distracted, right? The axe scene there would make sense.
Yes.
Because he's like, shit, oh God, and the sun's coming up maybe. And he's like, I got to get out of this thing right now. And then she comes and, well, he's distracted and cuts his head off. Yeah. That would make sense. Dude, I'm telling you. I can always, on the fly, in 2 seconds when we do these reviews, write the scene so much better. And it costs 0 extra money. Yeah. It takes 0 extra thought. And nobody on set had a problem with the fucking... Like, the guy who did the scene... didn't say to Spider One or anybody on the set, like, you know, I could just take this bear trap off my leg, right? Yeah. Like, I'm a vampire. Like, you realize, like, I have the strength. I can just pop this down, right?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything? I swear to you guys, I promise you, if I'm ever on a movie, this will never happen with me. I would be the guy on the set like, no, you either take me out of this film or rewrite this fucking scene. And they would fire me and I wouldn't care. I would much rather, I don't give a shit. If I ever make a movie, I would never make something like this. That's it. I'm done. Terrible film. Just awful. And I have no interest in anything Spider-Man makes ever again because of this. This is such a downgrade. Yeah. There's no way he's making a good movie after this. This is that downward spiral that you never correct from. So, it was... Allegoria was cool.
It was cool.
It was good while it lasted.
Watch our review on that.
So, there you go.
Watch that movie.
Yeah. Maybe Rob Zombie had a hand in this because he's been making nothing but shit lately, too. So, there you go. Scout Taylor Compton. Do better. Bye.
Bye.